Okay, today on Cabal Cast, we're going to be in Command & Conquer 3 Kane's Wrath to do a Christmas video commentary. It's my second VOD today, and I just want to get through as many replays as I possibly can before December 18th. So we're going to be jumping into this game. We have tibtroopin playing as Nod, and Figure, which is Drive, playing as a purple random. So if you don't know who tibtroopin is, he is Clarity888 on game replays. So I haven't seen this player before, and you all know who Figure is. Figure made himself famous by that 26 WOD replay with Bike Rashones. So yeah, and his Drive. So we're on Tournament Arena, and in the top left here we see purple. I didn't check the colors. This is Figure. He's playing as the GDI forces, GDI Vanilla, Zocom, or Steel Talons. And in the bottom right we see tibtroopin. He's playing as the Vanilla Nod. So Vanilla Nod, and he's gonna be against Procom. So Procom bonus com for Figure, and he's gonna go for 3 Rifleman squads. That's quite a bit of Rifleman squads there, buddy. And he's going to capture an engineer as well. tibtroopin has 2 militant squads going down the center, and 2 to his tip spike. Figure's not going to get there in time. Clarity, or I should call him, it's Clarity or tibtroopin. I'll probably call him tibtroopin just so I don't call him 2 different names at once. I had that problem once before where I called 2 different names to the same single player. So tibtroopin is going to capture his tip spike as well as Figure, and they're going to be going for some refineries and war factories after that. They're just doing a little bit of skirmishes. tibtroopin is going to be going to the bottom half of the map here with a couple of his militant squads. I'm pretty sure that Figure is more of a mid-card, low pro player. I haven't seen a tibtroopin play yet. Assuming he is a mid-card player. He's got a war factory out. He's going to go for a buggy scout. He has quite a bit of militant squads all across the map. I don't know if he should have gone for a buggy because that's just too much scouting. He could have used his militant squads just to check out what Figure is doing instead of building a buggy. But I don't think Figure is too concerned. He's going to go for a second rocket harvester. So yeah, and he's going to be placing down another refinery. He could have sent one of his rocket harvesters to that refinery there just to get some more tiberium, so that his harvester doesn't have to wait in this refinery right here. But it looks like he's going to be expanding pretty quickly off of one power plant. I don't think he just minds that. He's building up a pit bull to see if he can destroy that raider buggy. And tibtroopin has expanded himself. Oh, this is 3 foxholes. That's kind of funny. So tibtroopin was a little bit too slow there. He has to deal with 3 foxholes at his base now, and the power plant is actually getting pretty low. So if Figure can destroy this power plant, that'd be pretty good. tibtroopin needs to repair that as soon as possible. He needs to build up a couple of scorpion tanks or something to destroy those foxholes so that the Shredder can destroy them. But the power plant is getting pretty low now, and I wonder if he's gonna get destroyed. Figure's bringing in 3 pit bulls, so he's gonna be focusing down that power plant, and that's not a good start there for tibtroopin. He lost one of his power plants. Now his power is pretty low. The Shredder turns can't work, and now Figure is just focusing on that single scorpion tank. He could really focus on a harvester, but I think a scorpion tank would be a lot better. He could probably take it out. tibtroopin not up to the task of micromanaging his scorpion tank, and he will lose the scorpion tank. So that's a power plant and a scorpion tank down, and Figure did not lose any of his pit bulls, so that's going to be pretty powerful. And yet he still has these foxholes in tibtroopin's base he has to deal with. I don't think tibtroopin is too worried about that. He's got his refinery up, but Figure is going to be fast-teching to some orcas. Or actually, he's Zocom, so some Zorkas, I should say. And he's going to go for Zorkas. Nope, it's going to be a Hammerhead, and he's calling in an Orca Strike. So this is going to be on that harvester. I'm not sure if one of the harvesters is going to automatically dock in that refinery. It's going to be just in the nick of time. That refinery will take a little bit of damage, not too much. And going to be now Figure is going to be going for some Hammerheads. He is going to go for a command post with some AP ammo. So these Hammerheads with the rocket squads in them will do a ton of damage. He's going to be calling in 3 Hammerheads, and I'm not sure if he's going to keep building more or if he's going to transition to some Zorkas, or could be going for an upgrade. Ceramic armor would be pretty good. tibtroopin does not know what's coming to him. He has 0 anti-air to speak of. Actually, he does see he does have a couple bikes and buggies out, so this could combat the Hammerheads. But the problem with this is that he needs the pit bulls. Yeah, Figure needs the pit bulls so that he can see the harvesters, but tibtroopin is on top of things. He's got his SAM turrets up, so that's going to be quite a bit of anti-air. So Figure is his secret attack against tibtroopin has failed, and he has these hammerheads now that he can't really use on tibtroopin. He could attack the upgraded power plant if he wanted to. He throws on a radar scan to the back of the base. He finds out there's a couple of attack bikes, and tibtroopin is waiting in his queue to place down that SAM turret. He is taken up to tier 3, so he's going to go for an upgrade. There could be some laser capacitors. That'd be a pretty good upgrade to get, but he has to focus on these hammerheads now. He Figure does have ceramic armor, so that's going to be pretty good. And just slowly, just keeping tibtroopin is at his base and making sure he doesn't know what's coming up there. Fast tech now from Figure, and he needs some refineries on that expansion field straight away. He's also going for a zone shatterer, so that's going to be pretty interesting. He has a couple of zone shatterers on this base already, and he could be taking out these scorpion tanks. A couple of more sonic shots will take him out. The problem with zone shots is that they have pretty weak armor. Another orchestrator coming in, and this will be attacking that upgraded power plant. Does a lot of damage to it. A Redeemer engineering facility coming in from tibtroopin, so he's going to be going for a Redeemer now. And nice bike buggy screwing around there, and that zone shatter destroys a bike, but unfortunately uses his high power beam attack mode, which puts him down, and unfortunately doesn't do a whole lot of damage. So those two zone shots were completely wasted. And speaking of which, Figure is going to be fast attacking to a Marv, so he's trying to match that Redeemer of tibtroopin's. But the problem with this is that Figure is low on economy. He's forced to be long distance mining from the green tibrin field and the blue tibrin field, but he has 4 pits, a zone shat, and a mammoth tank, and he's trying to get that Zocom Marv out of his reclamator hub so that he can prepare for what tibtroopin is planning. That Redeemer engineering facility is spitting out the Redeemer right now, and now he just needs to put in a couple of infantry squads inside that Redeemer. Not sure what he's going to put in yet, but this force here is going to be trying to take out that tip spike. It's too bad for tibtroopin. He doesn't have the forces necessary to take out these 3 hammerheads with the pit bulls, the zone shatterer, and the mammoth tank. And now they're going to go to the back side of the base here. tibtroopin has got tib core missiles, and that's going to be pretty good just in case a Figure does decide to go for Firehawks with the ceramic armor. And that mammoth tank just has to do a couple damage on those turrets there for that SAM turret. But now he has to deal with the Redeemer now. And the Marv is out now. It has 2 Zone Raiders in it. He's going to put another Zone Raider squad and an engineer to give it a repair pod. So it's going to be going in for the 3-in-1. And those hammerheads are just flying around all over the map. They are going to get caught out of position by those bikes and buggies with the tip core missiles. And now it's tibtroopin's turn to take out the tip spike, which means that both players will have 0 tip spikes each. And now Figure is getting himself established on this tibrin field. He has a lot of harvesters. He has 4 lighting up on that 1 refinery, which is not good. He should transition 1, or at least long distance mine on that blue tibrin crystal. And he actually has that 1 refinery, should be powering back up. That Ray generator goes off. The Marv is in position now, and a couple of avatars are coming in. Oh, when we see those Raider buggies with the M coils, and they will take out that Marv. The Marv was completely 100% defenseless, and now tibtroopin has free reign to keep emptying this Redeemer, or this Marv, and destroy it himself. That was not good by Figure. He should have had some forces protecting this Marv, because the Marv is pretty strong, but when against Raider buggies with M coils, avatars, and Redeemer, it's not going to be invincible. And that's the refinery is still powered down. That harvester needs to get back to work and cash in some valuable credits, which Figure really needs, because he has almost no forces left on the map. He still has these 3 hammerheads there. He probably should go for some zone raiders. What's that thing called? Zone heads. He has quite a bit of zone raiders on the map here. He has still tier 3. He needs to get another Reclamator hub on the map here, because tibtroopin has a Redeemer and avatars, and he's getting ready for a full-on attack though. The forces at the bottom are just poking and prodding on tibtroopin's backside of the base here. That mammoth tank is still coming in. Some fanatics are also coming in as well and doing a little bit of damage to that mammoth tank. And that mammoth tank might get destroyed by that avatar that just spit out of the war factory and another avatar as well. So this mammoth tank done a lot of damage. And now tibtroopin was on low power for just a couple seconds, but managed to get it up. He does have laser capacitors too, So that means all the upgrades have been for the tech lab. I'm not sure if the laser capacitors was worth it. If he's planning on going for some Venoms, then maybe. But he only had like 4 or 5 Scorpion tanks, so that was not a good upgrade to get if you're planning on going for like full on, lasers. But I'm not sure if he's going for some Venoms. It'd be pretty good though. Another Orca Strike coming in from Figure to see if we can do a little bit of damage to that, to those harvesters there. And now this Redeemer Drink facility is just spitting out some bikes and buggies. And bikes and buggies are not very good on this map. I mean, it's open, but it's really small, so it's kind of that type of thing. These blue crystals need to be harvested by both sides. Figure is getting that harvest back to work. That power plant, the refinery's been powered up now. tibtroopin has a lot of force now. He should send a couple harvesters. Yep, there you go. Sending a couple of harvesters to get that blue tiberium, which is pretty good. He's also going for some Venoms now, which is quite nice. But this zone head force is doing a ton of damage. And the problem with this is that it doesn't have a whole lot of anti-air. He does have some stealth tanks, and that stealth tank just got massacred by those zone heads. So one stealth tank and those Venom will go down. He needs a lot more than just like 2 or 3 Venoms to take care of this zone head force. Figures investing in some infantry. He's got the armory with the tip field suits for the rockets, so that's gonna be pretty powerful. And he's gonna go for another Marv, so that he should fill in. He should fill in with a couple more Mammoth tanks just to support the Marv instead of just this full-on Hammerhead force. But we'll see where this Hammerhead is going to go. It's going to go to the backside of the base. That stealth tank should not reveal itself, but the power now is going to be under attack, and tibtroopin was not able to take out these Hammerheads because of all the power plants now that tibtroopin got destroyed. He needs to take care of these forces here, and the Venoms should be able to take most of these Hammerheads out with the help of the Tipcore missile bikes. So now this whole force here is just going to get destroyed. And that's pretty good for Figure. Well, it's good for Figure because you took out the power plants. But the problem with that is that tibtroopin can just spend like $500 and an extra $300 getting those power plants, where he lost quite a bit of his Hammerhead force. So is he going to keep going for Hammerheads? Probably. That Marv is back out now, so we'll be seeing some zone heads or zone raiders inside that Marv. Buggy's going to get destroyed. More Hammerheads are going to be building up now, and he does have a tier 4 support power, the Space Command uplink, and Figure is just a long distance mining that blue tip. Might as well too, And we see another engineer. We see two zone raiders, a rocket, and a repair pod on that Marv. So is that going to be pretty powerful against what tibtroopin has, which is what 6 avatars and a Redeemer with a bunch of Venoms and some Raider buggies if possible. So tibtroopin's back on his MCV, so is he going to go for an MCV push? Maybe. Let's see what everybody's cash is at right now. tibtroopin is at $300, and Figure is at $3,600 because of the blue tip that he's bringing in. Yeah, tibtroopin needs to get that blue tip in as fast as possible he can to get more out of this. He's placing a construction area right here because I think he's worried about that Marv that's coming towards his base. But Figure needs to do something about this. His Hammerhead force should be able to take out that construction yard. But I think what tibtroopin needs to do is need to place SAM turrets a little bit in this line right here. So when he comes forward with his MCV, if he does do an MCV push, he's protected with the SAM turrets. And I think that's exactly what he's going to do. His Venoms and buggies are going to be protecting it, and with the buggies comes with the laser capacitors too. So I guess the laser capacitor upgrade was a good idea. Here comes the supersonic airstrike. Will take out a good portion of those Venoms. I mean, he was asking for it, And the SAM turrets will be placed up now, so it's pretty close to see what's going to happen. The regen generator goes off. It doesn't get anything, unfortunately, because it was way out of range. So that was a little bit of a waste of a regen generator by tibtroopin. He's bringing in some stealth tanks and more Venoms to the fight. This MCV, it could be in a very vulnerable location, but at the same time, it could have a very, very powerful front line. It's just that Figure needs to be careful about what he does with his rockets. And these random bunch of Venoms are just taking care of the infantry forces. Here come the Hammerheads now. The Hammerheads are going to do some great anti-air. The stacking is pretty bad, so he did lose a couple of Venoms there unnecessarily. and Figure lost nothing. So that was a good trade-off there. And he has a couple of more Pitbulls here with the mortars, so a lot of upgrades from both these players are going to be pretty good. And he did sell out the Tech Cloud because I don't think he needed it anymore. He's still holding on to the Space Command uplink, and he has another War Factory. He has 2 War Factories here spitting out Pitbulls. But at the same time, I mean, he has to deal with this Marv, and this Marv is just going to keep raging his forces, and that could cause a bunch of damage there. Those Hammerheads, no, those Pitbulls are going to be doing some Harvester hunting, and those mortars are going to be doing wonderful damage to that bunker there. But the bunker is irrelevant at this point. So the Pitbulls now are going back to the backside of the base, and they do see some power plants they can get. These Venoms are going to be pretty much destroyed. But now the War Factory is going to get, or not the War Factory, the Venoms are going to get destroyed while the mortars focus on the power plants. And there goes the low power from tibtroopin. And he needs to replace those power plants again. I'm just going to get a quick drink. And in turn, lost a couple of power plants. So he needs to spread out his power plants a little bit because this area is completely open to stuff like Hammerheads. But here's a huge fight. So Redeemer, Rage Gens, here comes the Venoms, here comes the Shockwave Artillery, here comes the Forces. And we see a bunch of stuff here that's happening. tibtroopin has got emptied all this stuff. Here comes the Shockwave Artillery, which just happened. And the Orbital Bombardment now, the Venoms are being focused down. The avatars are focusing on the Marv, and the Venoms are focusing on the Hammerheads and whatnot. And we see a heroic Hammerhead now that did a lot of damage and destroyed all of the Hammerheads that Figure had. And Figure now is going to be losing his Marv. He just got emptied by that last Raider buggy. But Redeemer is very, very close to being destroyed. And I think it's going to be... It's super close. The Figure needs to destroy that Redeemer before it destroys the Marv, but it's super close. And oh my god, he just finished it off just at the slim of health. Oh my god, that Redeemer just barely survives. Oh no, it doesn't. That hammer, Zorka just takes it out. Holy Christ. That was an epic fight. Both players lost a lot of their forces. Oh man, that was an insane battle. Figure is forced to use his harvesters to take out that avatar. It's quite close though, but the Pitbull will take it out. And that one single heroic Venom, it should be able to take out the Force Raider. Oh, but the rocket harvester, it destroys it runs over an engineer, and it gets its veteran. That's cool. I mean, it's rarely ever see a rocket harvester getting vet, but it did there. And now we see the stealth tank from tibtroopin doing a little bit of damage to those Pitbulls, but the Pitbulls are cheap and the stealth tanks aren't. So you can see the conundrum there. But I think what tibtroopin needs to do is he needs to get his economy back up in order. He needs to focus on buggy production. That's the only way he's going to win, because Figure, I think he went all in. He sold his MCV. Yep, he sold his MCV. So now he's going to be going all in Pitbull production. And this is just going to be complete headaches for tibtroopin, as long as he can keep the Pitbull numbers down with the buggy. But I think he's pretty much low on economy, so it's going to be pretty tough for him to focus his Pitbulls, whereas Figure has some Tiberium at his disposal, and he does have a couple rocket harvesters getting healed up, and the blue Tib is getting regrown slowly, as well as the Tib as up north as well. But this Tib in the center of the map here is going to be pretty good for Figure, and then he can just go for some Pitbull spam. He could get a couple of Hammerheads if he wanted to, or Zorkas, but at the same time, I mean, this slow base creep here from tibtroopin is going to be pretty powerful, but he doesn't have any forces on the map to speak of at this point other than just harvesters. But these Pitbulls are just going to be rolling into the base and doing... they could do some harvester harassment if they wanted to, but these shredder turns, they're not shredder turns, so it's not Blackhand or Mark of Kane, but these harvesters are just going to get completely destroyed now because tibtroopin doesn't have any forces to destroy these Pitbulls. Actually, that's what I've been focusing on, a Marv, or a Redeemer, excuse me. So these Pitbulls now have been raged, and they're going to get absolutely massacred. But that Orca Strike did a ton of damage to that one harvester. A couple harvesters are actually in the red now, and that couple more Pitbulls are being brought to the fight. They're trying to take out those harvesters that are heavily damaged, and they almost do, but not quite. So now the problem with this is that tibtroopin has one slow unit that can destroy everything, and Figure has fast units that can destroy a lot faster, and he has more map capabilities and maneuver abilities than tibtroopin. But if tibtroopin can keep his Redeemer safe, he needs an engineer inside of that Redeemer so he can keep it safe. If he can keep his MCV safe, then he's fine. But this power plants here are just Black Hand. Oh, he must have had an engineer in there somewhere, because those are he must have had an engineer or something captured for that to happen. But the MCV is under attack now. He doesn't have a operation center. Well, he doesn't have an operation center, so he could throw down a laser field if he wanted to. But I think Figure is just trying desperately just to destroy this construction yard before something else happens. And he does get emped there, so 3 of the Pipples get emped. And now the Marv or the Redeemer has just free range to destroy as many Pipples as he wants before the emp is figured out. But he will destroy all those 3 Pipples, which is a nice pickup there. Figure has decided to go for some Zorkas, and that's just to keep the Redeemer in check, because these Pipples cannot destroy a Redeemer. And they need to destroy they need to destroy some buildings, and need to destroy it now. The power plants are first on the priority for Figure, but it's going to be pretty slow. I don't think tibtroopin understands how vulnerable Figure is at this point. He has just Zorgas to defend against the Redeemer, but this is pretty wrong, because tibtroopin is using his Redeemer to try to destroy these Pipples, which are completely fast. And before tibtroopin knows it, he lost like 3 or 4 buildings before the Redeemer can get back to base. And he built a war factory instead, and he sold off his Redeemer engineering facility to get that in order. He does rage jump, so that's a good thing, I guess. But the tibtroopin needs to stop using that Redeemer to destroy Pipples and start using to destroy Figure's last 2 production structures, which include the airfield and the war factory, which is spreading out Predator tanks now. And that's just for the Redeemer. The construction yard, for some reason, hasn't got repaired yet. He hasn't got an engineer in that yet. Oh no, Figure's gonna lose his engine. Figure's gonna lose his tibtroopin lost his MCV unnecessarily there. He didn't keep it safe. He almost had an engineer out there, but not quite. So now it's down to 2 structure. I think not sure what tibtroopin is planning on building from his war factory. I think it's just buggies, I'm pretty sure. But I think tibtroopin is going to bring his Redeemer now as close as he can to Figure's base, and Figure is just rallying his forces. He's going to be using the Zorkas to try to take out that Redeemer, but he has to be careful because those Raider buggies have the lasers on them. And I think the Raider is going to be folding up now. The Zorkas do a ton of damage to that Redeemer. But the problem with this is that the buggies now are going to be focusing on those Zorkas on the deck. But actually, they're not focusing now. They are focusing. And now these Zorkas are going to be absolutely destroyed. Not much Figure could do about that. tibtroopin is focusing on what now? Those Zorkas are just trying to do... The Rage Generator goes off now. These Predator tanks are trying to finish off that Redeemer. And tibtroopin is doing everything he can to destroy these Zorkas before the last here. Here comes an Orca Strike. And that will do a ton of damage to that Redeemer. But unfortunately, Figure is just keep building up his Predator tanks. He could take out that Redeemer if he's lucky, and I think he will. The airfield goes down, but now this is pretty bad for tibtroopin. If he loses his Redeemer, that could be pretty bad, and it's pretty close. Here comes a flame tank coming out from tibtroopin, and a nice emp shot there by that emp buggy. And here comes the flame tank. And it will take out that war factory, which means Figure will lose all his production structures, but that Redeemer will go down. Oh no, that's so bad. But at the same time, these rocket harvesters are all that remains for Figure, and he needs to make it work. But unfortunately, this is the last structure, and that's it. Figure has been defeated. Oh, so yeah, not the best game in the world, but that was still quite close. And actually, I was entertained. That was a good game. 23 minutes for a game on Arena, which is pretty average, if you ask me. So, units graphed, structures graphed, resources, and stats. So, 150,957 to tibtroopin, and 160,568 to Figure. So that's that's $10,000 in between both those players. Okay, so there's a game on Tournament Arena. My name's Cabal, and I'll see you guys next time.